Hey everybody, welcome to This Board Game Life, episode 41, titled Sleeving. Actually, sleeving, I think there's a question mark at the end of it. I am one of your fine hosts for today. My name is Rob, also known as Presar. On this other thing, I did that automatically. Don't laugh at me, Mark. I am known as Rob, just Rob. Let's just say that. And with me, as always, I got my good buddy Mark.
Also known as Mark.
Yes, not that other name from
Not
the other
the other
show.
name. So
Yeah, man, it's
hard.
Yeah. Anyway,
I almost
yes.
said something when you first said the title of the show or the name of the podcast. I was gonna be like, "Oh, you're wrong," because no, you said it right.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah,
How you
that's
doing,
how
Rob?
it goes. Yeah, I'm doing good. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks already since the last show, but apparently it has. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun doing all sorts of gaming. Gaming aplenty.
Yes.
And stuff. Definitely a lot more for you. Lucky.
So last in January, man, I don't think I'll ever set something like that. Now, for me, I thought this was a lot of games, but then I look on Board Game Geek and it's like people are like, I played 57 unique games in January. And I'm like, there was only 31 days. I had 26 unique games in January. And then, let me look at my stat again real quick. If I can get back to it. And then I had a total of 53 plays in January. So, but 26, and I was like 26 unique games. I was like pretty happy about it. But already into February, I've only played 2 games. Well, that can't be right. Oh, that's not right. I know this is wrong. Something's not updated.
We're a couple 2-3 days into the month.
Yeah, and you can look at my list and it's like, those are well, actually, no, this is right. Because this is just February. That's right. I think I only got 2 in February so far, and today's the 6th. So
oh wow, yeah.
The rest of these were from the end of February because it was 2 weeks ago since we recorded. So
yep.
So most of what I talked about was in January. So I don't know. I don't think I'll have another month like that. So, but doesn't mean I won't try.
Until February comes along and you eclipse it with the shortest month.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially at 2 a week in already.
Yeah.
So.
No, some months are crazy, just because you get the opportunity, and you play shorter games, right? Because I think didn't you play one? Yeah, you played one, which we'll probably talk about in a little while here. That was a couple hours long.
Oh yeah.
So if you have a game night, there goes the entire game night playing one game.
Yeah.
Right. Versus, playing shorter games, which are like half hour, 45 minutes, which I think 45 minutes, half hour, that's like common for a shorter game.
Yeah.
Time wise. But hey, since we started, what have you played over the past 2 weeks?
So I did break out Azul because I love Azul. I absolutely love this, boy. Like I said, don't judge a game box by its cover art or the story. Azul Summer Pavilion or the theme or So Azul Summer Pavilion was one I picked up. I saw someone. I think I'd made a comment on Board Game Geek, and someone was like, "Oh, I like Summer Pavilion even better." And that's all I know. Okay, let's go get it. We played
to the store.
Yeah, to the store. So we played it only once, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. And my daughter and my son played with me, my youngest son, and she was kind of, I think, like me, kind of like, I like the original better. But we only played it once, and it is so different from, like, there's so many differences about it that it just takes a while to try to wrap your mind around, like, okay, this isn't the same. There are differences. There's other things to, and there's other things to do in the game. And they really did add a lot of kind of neat things to the game.
Wait,
By the end of
so
it,
which one is this?
they're like,
Is this a stained glass one?
no, this is, well, I don't think it's the stained glass. They're
I should
like
just keep talking. I'm
shapes.
gonna look it up.
They're like shapes. I don't know what the story is.
Diamonds? No,
They're like
that's the
diamond,
other one.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that's if they're saying it's a stained glass, because I thought there was another one that was stained glass or something, but this could be it. I don't know. But anyways, it's like these little diamonds and little shapes, and you're building these different, kind of just like the thing. You're putting these, like, there's like, what is it, 6 tiles in the shape of like a star, and and then between the stars
Yeah, it's
there's,
diamonds. Yeah, instead of square
yeah, they're,
tiles, they're diamond shaped.
yeah, so that you make a 6-pointed star
Yep.
out
Yep.
of them, and all of one color. And then there's, in between the different colored stars, there's like statues and windows and something else. I don't remember what it was, but
The
you get
circles.
bonus tiles
Yeah.
from the scoreboard that you can take if you like surround those little spaces. And then the one star in the middle, you can have one diamond of each color in there. You can't have more than 2. And then the weird thing is, like, when you're placing a tile, so all the little spots are numbered 1 to 6. So, like, to put a tile in the number 1 spot, you just have to have 1 tile, and then you just play that tile. But to put a tile in the number 2 spot, you actually have to have 2 tiles of that color, and you put the one and then throw the other one away. Like in the old game, you put it in the box lid. This one comes with this like little box tower, which is awesome. Like, because it was always a pain in regular Azul. You'd throw your tiles into the box lid, and then to put them back into the bag,
Yeah.
they like to fall everywhere. It's not
On the
easy. So
floor. Yep. Yep.
in this one, they put this box. It comes with it. There's it's like a tower. You throw them in this, and then you just dump them right in the bag. And it's like, oh, this was so
Oh,
so
that's
much
right.
easier. It's
Yeah,
so
I
much
forgot about the
easier.
tower. Yeah.
So I think even if I'm playing regular Azul, I'm digging the Summer Pavilion and getting that little tower out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not throwing them in the lid. But
Oh yeah.
so it's weird to place tiles and then on number 6, you have to have 6 tiles of that color to put one, and then you throw the others away.
Right.
Like, it's such a weird like mechanic that you're like basically disposed. And I know that you're doing the same in regular Azul, but it doesn't, I don't know, it feels different. This almost feels like, I think the way this mechanic works in this game, it feels like you're really like, do I really want to get rid of all these? And there's different ways, like maybe you want to place it, and you can place it anywhere. So maybe I want to put it, if I got 6 of the tiles, maybe I'll put it on the 2, and and then the 3, and then throw away 1 or save the 1 for putting it on somewhere in the middle tile or middle star. And and as I was playing it more and more, I was trying to get used to this and kind of wrap my head around how to play it correctly. I was like, there's a lot of strategy to this one. I think a lot more than even the original Azul.
Okay.
So I was like, and I told my daughter that. I said, I think if we played it a couple more times, I think it would catch. Because even with Azul, like the first time, I was like, okay, I think I like this. But as I was playing it a couple more times, things were becoming clear. Just like anything.
Sure.
So it's definitely one I think we'll play. But it just, I think if we're going to play Azul, the family's going to want to play the original more so than
Right.
this one, just because it's what everyone's familiar with. But kind of like by the end of the game, I was like, okay, I like this. I kind of like how this is.
Yeah, you
It is
see
different.
like you see the appeal of it, or
Yeah.
like the crunchiness or whatever.
It's still
Yeah.
Azul, but I feel like there's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
So
because once you play a game, especially like I think Azul is a rather simple game overall, and once you get it down, you know, I think it's perfectly normal to want just a little something more, right? Just a little something more interesting, a little more thinky to go to the next
Well,
level.
even Azul, I think, is that way too, because like when we were first playing it was like, okay, we can take our tiles, we're putting them on the board, we gotta put them here to put them over here. You can only put so many, you're just learning how to place the tiles.
Right.
Then after we've played several, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go take tiles. Then I start looking around and realizing, hmm, if the next player here takes those tiles that are left, they're going to score. They might even get all of the blues out. So I should take those blues to keep them from getting that. Was it a 10-point bonus or something like that for having 5 of the same color on the board?
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so there's that, like, it starts to, it's like, okay, now that you understand it, now now it opens you up to see like some tactical ways to kind of change and alter your gameplay, because you might now grab something different because it will help you out point wise. I mean, I've taken tiles like I'm not going to get points for this, but it's going to stop them from gaining points. And I'm currently in the lead. So I would be able to maintain my lead by stopping them from getting something. So,
Hmm.
there is that. And then I think the summer pavilion even adds, because like my daughter was at one point, she's like, how are you getting so many tiles? And then I'm like, well, because there's this statue here and I've surrounded it by tiles. So then that gets you more tiles there's this pool of tiles on the scoreboard that you can pick. So like if you surround, like, there's this one little thing, it's like a circle. I don't remember what it was, but if you surround that, you get like one tile. If you surround the statue, you could get 2 tiles. And if you close off a window, which is not hard to do because it's on the edge of a star. So you're only putting 2 tiles, but it's like the 5th and 6th tiles. So it takes a lot of tiles to get that. Then if you surround that window or on half of it, then you get 3 tiles from that board. So it allows you to then, okay, you're looking at seeing what's available, looking what you need. You can start pulling things and I've been able to pull from there to then on my next turn play some of those to close off another thing that gets me more tiles from that pool. And she wasn't doing that. Again, it was our first run. Um, and then she wasn't aware, like, oh, if you covered all the ones in every star, if you had a tile in every one spot, then you gain bonus points. And same with 2s, 3s, and 4s like that. So there's, I think there's more ways to get bonuses. So yeah, there was there was more, I think, strategy to it,
Hmm.
or opportunities for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
It's a step up. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we also played. I bought a play mat for Marvel United because we bought that and we played that and we kind of liked it. So then I pulled that mat out and oh man, I love the mat. It was pricey, but it was so it was so nice to have everything stay, and like, you could put your cards I mean, it has everything mapped out where everything
Yeah.
goes, and then everything stays put instead of sliding around on the table.
Yeah. The cards don't spin.
Yes.
And
So
yeah.
we played Enter the Spider-Verse, which is like an expansion. Um, and the thing is like this game is very easy. So we're gonna have to, and I know I talked to you earlier today about it, and you mentioned Board Game Geek's got some forums out there or groups that talk about different ways to play to make things more
Yeah.
challenging,
Variants. Yeah.
variants. So I think I'm gonna go look for that because we do enjoy the game, but we're winning every time. And it's just kind of like, okay, it's like the very first game we played was tough. And we played the guy they said to play, and we barely won.
Hmm.
And then we went on after, like, and played the next 2 harder guys in the next medium and then the hard guy, and we kicked their butts. I was like, well, that wasn't hard at all.
Well,
And it was just that
so
first game was really
yeah.
tough. And I know if we went back and played Red Skull, the very first, we'd probably obliterate him in half. Like we beat the hardest guy and we're halfway through the game. Like,
So
because now
yeah.
it's like we've learned this is what you got to do and this is what you focus on. And then once you have that, it's really pretty easy to play as long as people have the right cards. But, that's
Yeah.
once you're in a group and working together, it's extremely easy to beat.
So I would say one of two things. Either you're spot on with that, or
I'm playing it wrong.
yeah,
No, I know
you're
we're
missing a
playing it
rule.
right. No, I
Okay,
know we're playing it right. And
I know.
I've seen other discussions about this game, and
Yeah.
um from what I have heard from, like, I don't know, I would guess I call them the experts, the sources that have reviewed board games for a very long time. And, some of those YouTube channels that just have a lot of, it's all board game coverage. I've
Hmm.
heard them talk about this game, and they basically said it is a light game intended to be a little easier because it's
Sure.
kind of designed for families and kids to
Yeah.
get them into it. And all the theming is like, it's like Spider-Man, right? But he's
Sure.
like little Spider-Man, it's like kitty Spider-Man in his outfit. So it's all kind of geared that way. And I think that's why it's fairly easy to win. There was one in the Spider-Man, it did have a challenge, and I was looking at that. But I was like, well, let's just run through it this one time, see what it's like. And it was pretty easy. So from now on, no matter which one we play, we're going to try to do the challenges to add those in to make it a little harder. And if that still doesn't work, then I'm going to go out to that place you talked about to get the different ways, see what other people are doing, like
Yeah.
house rules to play it.
Hmm.
So, but I also played. So I was telling you, and my elderly mother
Okay.
didn't like that I said that, but she still got a laugh out of it.
Hmm.
So I've been playing, talking about getting her to play. So I went to her house last week, and she actually had gone out and bought a game that
Oh
she wanted to
wow.
play because she thought it
Nice.
sounded fun. I don't think she
Oh
liked
boy.
it really.
Okay.
And it's now sitting on my shelf, and she gave it to me. But it's
Come
a
on,
game
mom, buy
called,
more games.
yeah, I'm like, keep it up.
Here's a
I'm broke.
list. Here's a
Yeah,
list.
I need to give her that list. Yeah, here's my wish
Yeah.
list. But it's a game called A Little Wordy. It's by the people that made Zombie Kittens. Um,
Okay.
so it's a simple game. You get a bunch of tiles go into. There's two bags. One's got vowels, one's got consonants. You basically draw out a set amount of consonants, set amount of vowels. You put them in front of you, and you got this little cardboard writable, like a dry erase board, but it's
Sure.
like it's foldable. So you're basically kind of covering. It's got this. It puts this like shield over what you're writing on, and
Okay.
so you got all these letters, and you got to come up with you're trying to form a word, and basically, and the other person's doing the same with their letters. So you figure out a word, you write it down on your board, then you fold the cover down over it so that your board's out. Now the bottom part is still a dry erase, and then there's these cards that go on the table, and the cards will be like, you're gonna pick. So the cards are like the clues, so it'll tell you, your opponent will have to tell you the first letter in their word. Okay. But if I use that clue, they gain basically 2 points. So there's like these little cardboard cutouts of like cherries or something, some kind of little fruit thing. So they get two berries. Um, but then I get the first letter. Okay. But they are winning at that moment. And then there's things that'll give one. There's some questions which gives a little bit more, like how long or how many letters are in this. They have to tell you like how long their word is, but they might get like 4 points for that, for me asking that. But so there's these clues I can try to figure out. Now I can see all their letters because your letters are out in front of each other, so I can see what like her letters are. Um, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, with what she has, I'm trying to figure out what word she made out of those random letters. So
Hmm.
I liked it. I don't know if she did that much, But I still
Right.
was like super happy that I come over and she's like, I got this game for us. And I was like, what? Yeah, she's buying games.
Hmm.
So, and we played it. So it was fun.
Nice.
Also got in some Wingspan, taught that to my
Actually,
kids.
let me ask you real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but do you think she's a fan of like word games in general? Like, does
Um,
she enjoy that
sh-
kind of stuff?
she does like things like Boggle, categories. So I think it was just, and I really think that if I take it back over and say, hey, I brought this, let's play it again, I think she'll be fine with it. I really think it was the first time, it's that
Yeah.
first time we were played. Cause even I
Yeah.
was, the way the directions were, in my opinion, I struggle with this. I don't know if it's my age. I don't know. I can read something and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, So the first time I go through a game can be a big struggle for me trying to understand what they're saying. Because one thing I think, and this is even like in my career, um, I work for an IT company, and when one of my support guys is talking to a customer, they'll sometimes say things because they know it so intimately that they will kind of give you like the technical version and can give you more info than what maybe the person at the other end of the line is capable of understanding, or it might be above their skill
Right.
level because you know it. And so it's like the guys who wrote the game, they built the game. So they're they have this kind of knowledge, and they could end up sometimes writing things like making assumptions or just
Right.
not maybe spelling it out clearly. So sometimes you're reading it and going, what is that? What are they trying to say there? And maybe that'll get easier the more games I play. Um, I think some of these mechanics I'm starting to see. Oh, I recognize this from another type of game, so this sort of makes sense now. And then it like, okay, now I understand the rule, what they're saying. But when they write these, sometimes I think they just have such a good knowledge of it that they kind of write it almost to themselves and not to the lowest common denominator, the dummy
Yeah.
like me.
There's actually a name for that. It's called poorly written rules, and it happens all the time.
Well, I just figured it was I needed
Yeah.
the rules for dummies book.
Yeah. Maybe there's some of
So
that too.
yeah, with
But
me, there's a lot of
but
that.
there are poorly written rules, especially. I mean, not so much anymore as it was like 10 plus 15, 20 years ago,
Oh,
but where the rules were basically translated from German usually,
oh yeah,
and not always, I'll say, by like a native speaker. But it's a lot better now than it used to
yeah.
be. But yeah, the thing I was going to mention was, and I was just going to throw this out there, like if she likes word games and maybe she likes like Scrabble and you mentioned what, like Boggle
She likes
or
Boggle and
yeah,
categories.
categories. Yeah,
Um,
there's a card game as long as she's, you know, doesn't have issues like holding cards and stuff like that. There's a game called Paperback that's actually pretty cool. It's a deck building word game.
okay.
So deck building
Oh
because
yeah.
you played something with it. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
you basically get a hand of cards with different letters on it, and that is used to build words. It's pretty fun. Look it up. It's called Paperback.
I got it in my search window now, so I'll take a look at that.
Awesome. Yeah. Anyway,
Um, so I played Wingspan with the kids. They enjoyed that. I really like Wingspan. I went to my friendly local game store and got to learn how to play Zombicide. And this game basically took us 4 hours. But again, there was the game master was teaching a couple people who had never played, including myself. So, but it was a long game, and I really liked it. It was very intense, very hard, but we actually pulled it off and won, but it was close. And like just the amount of zombies that continued to come out, it was crazy. And at first, like my character, I couldn't do anything. So I ended up like running around just trying to get the objectives while everyone else was like just nailing zombies. Cause for some reason, my character, I couldn't, man, the roll of the dice was not with me that night. I couldn't hit anything. But by the end of the game, I was powered up enough that I was starting to do some damage, which was nice. But it took us 4 hours to beat it. I think my only thing, what I really liked is also what I didn't like. So let me explain this. My favorite part of the game was it's cooperative, and you get to, and I've seen this now with like Pandemic and Star Wars: A Clone Wars, where you're playing these cooperative games and people be like, oh, let's, like, I'll say, hey, okay, here's what I'm going to do on my turn. What do you think? And then someone else will be like, well, how about you do this, that, this? And then the third be like, well, you could also do this, this. Like you're getting all these different viewpoints, which is great because it's like, wow, this, someone most of the time, especially with my kids, someone will have a better idea. Or because I'll miss like, oh, why don't you use your special power that moves you here? Oh, yeah, I forgot I had that. So I like that when we work together and you get other opportunities or viewpoints. That being said, it can also be a hindrance to the game when you have people that maybe you don't know, like in this case, I didn't know any of the other people. And there was definitely some strong personalities, and someone wanted to do something their own way, and the rest of the group would be like, no, don't do that. And they would not be happy with that. And they would still go off on their own. Or they would just be kind of like, whatever, they'll do what the group does. And then they're basically checked out.
Yeah, we have a name for those people.
Oh, we do.
And it's something that we can't say on a family-friendly podcast.
Okay. So, it was, by the end of it, after, we're closing that 4-hour mark, I'm just like, people just stop. Like, I'd be like, okay, what if I do this? And then someone will say something else and I just wait, if I get a couple people say, yeah, that works, I'm just doing it. I'm like, we're done. We're not going to keep discussing it. I don't care. I don't have to have the way, I'm just wanting to play. It's a cooperative. That means we work together. My way is not always the right. Most of the time, my way is not the best way, but sometimes I'll be like, here's, and I'll explain why I'm going to do this or what I think. And they'll be like, yeah, that works. Okay, cool. Sometimes they'll be like, well, that's dumb. No, they didn't say that, but they're like, well, what if we do this? Oh, okay. A couple people agree. All right, I'm going to do that. But some people just don't want to do that. And then one person was like, oh, I'm dead. So I'm just going to, I'm just going to quit. And like, we're all, and myself and another player were like, no, you can look, if you do this, you can still stay alive. And that person ended up, finally, we convinced him to not quit. And they were alive at the end of the game. It worked. We ended up winning because they listened to, they actually were forced to listen to the rest of the team, so it's kind of like, I like it, but I don't at the same time. But it is a fun game, but you got to have like the 6 players. I don't see how you could play that with less people and survive. But tough game. I had a game on my shelf of shame that I said I was going to play. It has come off the shelf.
Oh, and real quick before we continue, I was joking around earlier about what they're called. There actually is a name for that player. It's alpha player is usually the term that's used most often. So that's the one that likes to kind of boss everybody around and call all the shots, meaning like they should just play it by themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I played Everdell, same local friendly game store. Had a group with people I've actually this husband and wife, I've played with them on X-Wing before. So they're huge fans of Everdell, and they taught myself and another player. It was at the beginning of it, I was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand this. What's the point? By the end of it, I was like, okay, some of this is starting to make sense. I think I'm getting, and I like it. I want to play it again, but it's almost one of those. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do this myself. I might need to play it again, like with this group to get that game down a little better before I try to teach my kids. But
right.
Or I'll just give the rule book to my daughter and say, learn this. She can read it and get it,
Yeah.
and her and I usually butt heads because I'm like, don't tell me what to do, and then she'll tell me something that's like, well, no, Dad, you're wrong. And I'll go look and I was like, oh crap, she was right. so,
I'm guessing this was the dynamic when you were younger.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, with your parents. Yeah.
So it's off my shelf of shame and on the plate. Played a lot of Ticket to Ride. My daughter loves this game. I do too. So we played the original.
Nice.
We played the Europe. We played San Francisco, which probably won't get played again. Really didn't care for it.
Oh, really?
It's too small. I think it's just too small. I get it's a very small box compared to the others.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the mini ones, like New York.
It is a mini version, yeah, and it's
yeah.
just like, it's not as good as the others. The Europe one was like, I'm going from where to where. Really, if you don't know geography, man, that one can be a struggle. And then it's even worse when you play our new favorite in the series, Ticket to Ride, Rails and Sails. My daughter loved it. Of course, she kicked my butt, but I think she did. I think she won that one. But yeah, that one was like, I was sitting upside down. The board was upside down to me, and I'm looking at the world map, and I'm like, oh, go here to there. So when I'm looking at the card, and then you look at the map, it's like, okay, it's upside down. So then it's even harder to find where some of these towns are, these cities. But I like the addition of the ships. You've got trains, you've got ships, there's tunnels. So like there's a whole mechanic around, you can't claim the tunnel. Like you have to, I think it was the tunnels where you had to draw 3 cards off the draw deck. And then if any of the colors that you were using to claim the tunnel, if like, say I was using blue and there was like two tunnel lengths, and I drew 2 blue cards, I'd have to play 4 blue train cards to claim the tunnel instead, just for the 2. So it definitely, there's some like neat little mechanics that change and add stuff like that. So I was like, that's really cool. But yeah, enjoying that. And then last, I know I've been rambling. Now this will surprise you, Rob. So I played Dog Park again. I like this game. I took it to my mother's. And I'm like, okay, we're pushing it now.
Oh, yeah.
This is got a lot of things. It's more advanced, but I thought you're only doing one thing at a time. So like there's the auction part, then there's the actual moving your meeples through the park. And then you have you're at home, or you're kind of like you're scoring. So you're doing one thing and focused on one thing at a time. So and yes, it all plays into each other. But I just told her, I said, we're just going to look at it one at a time and not worry. Like normally, if you're drafting or you're auctioning your dogs, you're trying to get dogs into your kennel. You're looking at ahead, like, okay, if I have this, I've got these treats, I got to walk. What am I going to pick up, and what bonuses, and what else am I going to get? I mean, there's a lot of that. But she really liked the game. She even said multiple times before I left that night, I want to play again.
Oh, nice. And
I was like, yes. And she even said what she liked was that it was like in chunks, because there's a lot there, but I taught her just in chunks. Okay, we're just going to do this. Don't worry about the park. Don't worry about everything else. Because again, when you're teaching someone, the score doesn't matter. Not everyone agrees to that, but that's the way I am. Like, it doesn't matter. And then I would even, like, I could have taken a dog to help me, but I'm like, no, I would help her, and I want her to learn how to do this. So I'm like, go ahead and take this. I was telling her, take this dog. I'm not going to bid on it. I want you to take this dog because it'll benefit you here later. And, but yeah, she loved it. And it's like, I want to play it again. So I'm going to be taking that one back. It's a great game. I really do enjoy it.
Very nice.
But that's it. That's all I played.
That's a good amount.
It was good.
Yeah, here's another show where we talk for more than half an hour about what we've been playing. But that's a good problem.
Really the point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
mean, it would be a boring show to go, "What'd you play?" Nothing.
Hmm.
No one's going to want to listen to guys that should do a podcast about something they never do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
So
Rob, like I'd be like
yeah,
Rob doing an Xbox podcast or
I
something.
know, right?
Like
Yeah,
I didn't play
something like
nothing.
that. Yeah, and so I'll mention real quick because we talked about a bunch of this stuff already. I got Azul to the table with my one buddy, so I have
Yes.
him sort of converted into a gamer, and I'm a little apprehensive about like pushing it too far because his brother
Yeah.
is a gamer and turned him off uh, from games, and so I'm rekindling that. So we played some Azul, and we played some Ganz Schön Clever, which is that's pretty clever. I forget what it's called.
That's
And
right. That's pretty clever.
that's pretty clever. Yeah, because there's a couple of them, and I can never remember which one's which. But I do know the German name, oddly enough. So those were definitely good ones. And then yeah, that's about it.
I got that game,
Oh,
Conshan Clever. I
yeah,
need to
yeah.
get, and it looks like it's very similar to Quicks, but
Yeah.
more more like more options for your dice rolls. So I gotta. That's one I need to get out because I think I'm gonna absolutely love that game too.
Hmm.
I think you showed that one, or when you came out to visit last time. I think you brought that with, and I think we played it.
Yeah, I did. No, I don't think we played it. We might have.
I'm
Because
pretty sure
I
we
brought
did.
I brought I probably did. I probably brought that, and I know I brought that other one. Oh man.
There's something about
Um
welcome to tomorrow or welcome to or
no, yeah, it's welcome to there's a couple of them.
welcome to paradise or something like that. I have that one too, and I've not opened it yet.
Yeah, it's a roll and write game. Um it's just welcome to dot dot
Oh,
dot.
welcome
That was
to.
it.
Okay.
There are some other ones which followed that one, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
welcome to.
there's some pretty fun little roll and write games there,
Oh,
and I
welcome to
think
your perfect home. That's the one that I have that you brought out. And I think you played that one with my
no,
kids because
yeah,
that was the day, I think the day before you went back home, and I
hmm,
was down sick
yes,
from our whale watching trip the day before that just knocked me flat. I was so ill. So I didn't get to play this one, but I have
hmm,
it.
yeah.
So
So yeah, that is a good one. Um, and in um, along with Ganz Schön Clever, I had a little distraction here, but anyway, um, I forgot what I was saying now.
along with Guns Sean Clever.
Yeah, yeah. So never mind. I totally lost my train of thought.
So you were talking about your buddy that you don't want to push
Yeah,
too much. I think another good one. Maybe it's a little too simple, but I really like No Thanks.
yeah, yeah.
That's a fun one. That's real simple.
I actually
Um,
did bring that one over to his house, but you need three people for that,
oh, okay.
and we couldn't get any of the other three people that were in the house. There's five of total. We
Uh,
couldn't get the other three to cooperate.
uh,
So, and by the way,
all
Gunshot
right.
Clever, there are apps for that, so you can play that one on phones, tablets, or whatever.
Well,
Good
maybe I'll give
stuff.
that a shot
Hmm.
so I can learn it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it looks like it'd be fun.
yeah. It's a good little game. And actually, when you play on a mobile device or tablet or whatever, it goes by super fast. Although sometimes it goes by too fast that it's not fun, if that makes sense. Because there is
Yes.
some fun to rolling the dice and moving things around and writing in a spot as opposed to having it all fill in automagically. But anyway, all right. So moving on.
Yeah, sure. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so you wrote this one in. You want to start this off?
So, as I'm new to the gaming scene, I was like, I'm one of these people that like wants to take care of everything. Like when I was younger and when I was a kid, I was big time reader. I read books like crazy. I would read a book, like a paperback, and I could read a big 700 page paperback. And when I was done reading it, you wouldn't know it had been read because I did everything. I made sure I didn't crease the binding. I don't ever crimp the page over. I don't dog ear the page. Oh, it gives me chills. Like, don't do that. You can't. But it's just kind of weird. It's like, the book would be on display on my shelf and it had to always look good. I always like want to keep my stuff as neat as possible.
Of
And the
course.
board games, it's kind of like, I feel like I've got this same addiction. Like when I take a game to like a game night to play with people at the game store, I'm almost to the point where like I don't want to take my games because people bend cards or they pick them up and then they got food on their hands. I'm like, ah. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna sleeve everything. That'll
Hmm.
keep the cards better. It'll keep
Or you
sticky
you know
fingers. You can
you
wipe
know
them.
another thing that'll just drive somebody insane is if you take their game and then you take their board, and you know how the boards are folded, and when you just unfold it, it doesn't lay flat all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah.
it kind of V's slightly.
Uh huh.
Well, if you want to watch somebody just go insane, take that board and bend it a little bit in the opposite direction to try to get rid of that V. They go out of their minds, like their eyes get wide because they think you're going to split it. But anyway, go-
But
it's
yeah,
cards.
so
Yeah.
I've got tons of sleeves. And I started with Dice Throne
Hmm.
and actually paid to get their particular
Oh, okay.
sleeves because they're really nice. Like
Oh,
each
yeah.
character's on the back, and I mean they're really nice.
Yeah. Those are very premium. Yeah.
Yep. So Dice Throne is all my Dice Throne games are sleeved with the exception of Adventures. Um, and the reasoning there was when you're playing Adventures, you're mixing cards from the original games, your character cards, and then there's additional stuff that you get that goes into that character deck. Well, to to get when you want to play that character without it's I don't think from what I've seen, it's not that obvious until you know what you're looking for. So those aren't sleeved just to make it easier to if we're going to play just regular dice throne, we can pull out the loot cards from adventures because we leave them all together as we're going through our campaign. We keep our loot cards we get with our character, and then those aren't sleeved. But so I think I might get there someday. But then, so the next thing I was like, oh, I like this. Yeah, you can't shuffle the way I would normally shuffle, but I like that they're really nice. It just your cards have I don't know, they're easier to pick up. Um, I
Yep.
just I just find them easier to use. I feel like they're going to be protected a little bit. They don't get as bent as easy. So then I bought a crap ton. I was like 200 sleeves or something. And I'm like, I'm sleeving Villainous. So I've got like every Villainous deck, every one of them. And we pulled out the first box, the main box. And my daughter and I sat there and started. And there's like, oh my gosh, there's 100. There's a lot. I don't know how many cards are in this. There's a lot. And we sleeved them all. And when we were done, they didn't fit in the box.
Yep. That's normal.
And I was like, what the heck? I'm like, we can't put the game back. And so I ended up like, all right, we got to unsleeve them all. And
Nice.
so I pulled them all out. I got 200 sleeves sitting here that I probably will never use because it's like, yeah, some of these boxes don't allow you, they don't give you the space to sleeve. And I guess some do. And it's going to be one of those that I'm going to have to like look online of which ones allow for you to sleeve your decks.
An,
Dog
an,
Park might. And
well,
if it does, I can. but then and it's not so much like the space, the cutout of the card. Like I think Villainous, it was like the card, the slots that the cards fit into are just about card's width and
Yes.
height, right? So the sleeve adds just enough that it doesn't, you're almost got to push it down to make it fit. So that's
Hmm.
one problem with that.
Right.
But then the other problem is if the slot's wide enough, is it tall enough? Because even though these things are thin, they add a tremendous amount of height to a stack of cards.
Yep.
So even if you can put it in the slots, it might end up being too tall, which was what happened on Villainous. It was like they were really tight, and I kind of very gently trying to push them down. But then I found out it's like, oh, I can't get that bottom one. I had to get like a knife to kind of pry the one in the bottom out because it was
Right.
like, I'm like, this just isn't going
It
to
was
work.
wedged in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it's not. So this, and of course you can buy. I know people make kits. The guy that taught me how to play Villainous. He works at one of the game stores, and he has this huge wooden crate with every expansion and everything in it. And it's just, but I'm like, I can't do that for every game. Like,
Right.
I don't want all these customized boxes, and so it stinks because it's like I kind of want to sleeve them. I wish that the boxes would, more games would account for the ability to sleeve your cards, and then have those cards fit into the box they came in.
Hmm.
And I think it's more annoying when the box even says, "Oh, use this sleeve." You
But
know?
not in this box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I am like, I want to, but I feel like I can't because I want the games to fit in the boxes. So what do you do?
Well, I'm glad you asked. A couple things. Well, first of all, I have a history with sleeves, in particular with a couple of games. And when I started in the hobby years ago, and then got into this game called Dominion. Have you ever heard of that one?
I've
Yeah. Have you played
there's a
it?
bunch of different. I haven't played it, but I've seen it, a bunch of different versions of it at my
Yeah.
local
Yeah.
store.
Yeah. I highly recommend like maybe trying out the base game of it. There's a couple others that are like not just pure expansions, but and I think there is like a second edition or something that just came out now recently. But anyway, when we got into Dominion, that's a game that is a deck building game, a lot of card action, a lot of shuffling, and uh, you know, I'm like, hey, let's start sleeving. And I would get, I really like the really nice sleeves, which are the Fantasy Flight sleeves. We'll call those like more premium sleeves. They're thicker and really solid. I'll call them that. Versus back then, there were some really cheap sleeves by a company called Mayday, which were very common. And they were more like, they were a lot thinner, thicker than like a saran wrap, thicker than like a cellophane or something like that, but they were still very flimsy and they didn't feel like they offered enough protection. But I had the same issue with Dominion, where there are size constraints granted. The Dominion boxes are different. They had these like little foam guys in there, and you can like put a whole bunch of them in there. But if you're looking at an actual like card storage thing, they wouldn't always fit. And then if you had a huge stack of cards, they often slide off. If I explain that properly, like if
Yep.
you have a stack of let's say 100 plus cards, they don't want to stay put.
Right.
The top cards want to slide off just because there's less friction in between the cards. But um, once I got into Dominion and started getting expansions, every time there would be a new expansion, it's like, okay, got to sleeve this whole thing. And, I would buy sleeves on sale, have like all these backup sleeves, in different sizes. And yeah, the craziness ran deep, but it's common. I have that fondness in my heart that I'm not alone in my crazy. There's many others, uh, just as nutty as I am. But eventually, it became a chore, and it's like, is it really worth it?
And
Um,
expensive.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Like especially if you get the really nice sleeves. I mean, they're not
Mm-hmm.
cheap. They're not cheap at all. And the sleeves that like you were talking about, they are like I'll say a step beyond premium because mine were clear on both sides. I don't even know what the Fantasy Flight sleeves go for anymore. I don't even know if they still sell them actually, because they got acquired by Asmodee a while back, and who knows what happened with that. But um, yeah, it's like you got the even nicer sleeves, which I really like the ones with the custom backs for the games
Yeah,
that offer them because like I think I got those for Star Realms
I
and
got some of those too.
yeah, and I really like the feel of the cards that are sleeved. I love shuffling with them because I just like take two stacks and I just sort of like push them into each other,
Yeah,
which you can do that with sleeves. You don't need to actually like riffle shuffle them or something. I mean, you can't,
yeah.
but there's different ways to shuffle them just by like pushing them in, one sleeve or one stack into another stack, and then I just kind of stopped um, when I started running into some of the problems, and with uh, with Dominion in particular, it's like I had so many expansions that I did go the route of, there's a Hobby Lobby art box that became really popular for like huge games or huge card games. And, I have all my cards in there. And it's just like this huge monstrosity. If my cards were not sleeved, they would take like half the space easily. But the thing is, and my thought on it is this, and this is years after um, I got into the hobby, and my opinions on certain things have changed. Some out of convenience, some out of being realistic, and some out of like some of the craziness has like died down. But my thought is like if it's a game that has a lot of shuffling and it's like a card game and you really love it and you're going to be playing it a lot, it might make sense to sleeve because it'll, the cards won't bend or they won't wear out um, like they would otherwise. But the thing is, it's like I have so few games that I play that much anymore. And I haven't played Dominion in years. Just because it's an older game, you kind of get tired of it and you just move on. I mean, I would still enjoy to play it. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's the cost and everything like that is I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, you can easily spend more. Like I look at Dominion. I mean, I probably spent as much on cards and, you know, dividers and the art box and time and everything like that more than, than I'll say the game's worth. And I guess that's what I'm saying. If it's a game that you really enjoy, maybe it's worth it. It is a premium feel. They do look nicely. The cards do look nice sleeved, especially if it's nice sleeves. But I don't know if it's not worth it. And I haven't done it in years, and I don't see a game that I've played at least within the last couple of years that I would really want to sleeve like I did when I first got into the hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It I think maybe it's a good thing that it's a almost a frustration because it does save us. I look at it saves us money, and I look at how much money I spent on these card sleeves that I have unused. I could have bought a lot of games for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I one of the other things too. It's like I've heard people say games are meant to be played, and and I agree. I can't if I'm gonna play and have fun. I shouldn't be like, oh, you picked up that card, you bent it a little too much, or I shouldn't be like over every little thing it's not gonna harm it. Most of the
Yeah.
time, no one's gonna hurt it. You know, and we should just play them. So I'm trying to kind of go that route. But
Yeah.
it is a struggle when it's like, especially when it's people you don't know and they just bend the card and I'm just like, dude, this game's brand new, you're killing me. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, don't ruin it. So, and I would like to take a quick update moment
Sure.
because we're talking about a ruined card. If you remember on the last episode, I think it was our last episode. I was talking about Forbidden Sky and how I bought the game brand new, sealed, came out with one of the character cards was ripped. Um, so I actually contacted Game Right Games and I said, "Hey, I got this card. I said, this card's ripped. Is there a way for me to purchase another one?" And I got a response back like right away, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Just give us your address." I got it in the mail the other day. I got it was just the card, nothing extra, but that's all I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't charge me for it. So I was really happy with Game Right Games that they made it right. So I just want to give them a shout out. I appreciate it. That means a lot that a company will take care of you.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, but anywho,
So anyway, yeah.
had nothing to do with
So
sleeving.
no,
but
exactly.
But if it wasn't sleeved, I mean,
Yeah.
but you run that risk of having your card torn if you don't
Yeah.
sleeve it. But then again, if we're playing the game, does it matter that at the end of the day, it's like, say 5 years from now, you bought a game, you've played a lot of it or something. Does it have to be pristine or does it lose anything by, looking like it's been played? As
Yeah.
long as all the parts are there and playable, I think that really is probably what really matters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But I do think if every box if they had allowed for sleeving included in the box so that you could sleeve it and put it in the original box,
Yeah.
I'd be spending a lot more money. So, in a way, I'm kind of glad they don't.
That's the downside of some of those inserts. You almost forgot to mention this. There are some alternatives that you can do to fit those cards in there. Um, for I think one or two games, I actually went to the game stores and I got card boxes. They're very common for like Magic the Gathering and
Oh, yeah.
baseball cards. It's just like a long cardboard
Yeah.
box, and you can just fit a whole bunch of cards in there. So that's an alternative. Granted, it's not the best storage solution, right? Because now you have this other box laying around with your cards in it, and you can get these like little foam blocks to go in there and take up the excess space just so that the
Yeah.
cards aren't rattling around in there. And then the other thing is there's a bunch of companies that make inserts for boxes, which um, they replace any insert that came from the publisher or the factory.
Yeah.
And some are made out of wood, some are made out of foam, some are made out of like a plasticky material, very similar to some of the factory inserts. But generally, those, especially like the foam and the wood ones, they usually fit larger size cards in there. And sometimes they're better space management, and they actually even support additional space for expansions. So it depends. Like
Yeah.
a few companies, like the wood ones that just come to mind is Broken Token. There's what Folded Space. There's a whole bunch of different companies that make them.
Yeah,
But
I've heard of Folded Space. I've seen some of their stuff.
yeah, and yeah, like I said, there's wood, foam, bunch of different materials, and not all of the inserts are, let's say, the same. One might be just a replacement, another one might, have additional like organization benefits and stuff like that. So um, you can look into that too. Spend more money.
Nope,
So where
nope,
you,
nope. I'm just, you know what?
yeah,
The game's meant to be played. I gotta go
yeah,
with that.
yeah. It's a $40 game. You spend $20 on an insert.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah,
no.
and an
I could
hour to
buy
put it
it.
together, and then it falls
Yeah.
apart. Yeah.
And then you never
Don't
play it anyways, right?
Yeah, don't ask me how I
So
know. Yeah.
so I got a I know I think on our very first show, I asked you about a game called Catan
hmm
and how important is that to have in your library if you're really a gamer. And it's something I've looked at because it's like this thing has won so many awards and it's like supposed to be the greatest game of all time.
So is Taylor
And
Swift.
yeah.
Whoa.
um and I'm like, every time I look at it, I do look at it every time I go to the store, and I'm always like, and I can't. I'm like $50. I don't know if I'm going to like it. Well, this game is coming on Xbox like pretty soon. I saw it. I saw it on my dashboard yesterday,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is coming on Xbox." Let's see. The console edition is coming out February 23rd. And it looks like it's going to be like $20. So I might get this, spend the 20 and maybe see what I think of it. And
Okay.
of course, this, I think you can play, they have online multiplayer. It does have a single player. My thoughts was like for $20, I can at least try it and learn it because the game that they're going to teach you how to play it and see if I like it. And then if I do, then I would feel better about investing the money into the actual board game and playing the real board game. But so that I thought was kind of a good alternative of maybe because sometimes watching a YouTube video or someone playing through might give you an idea, but you never really know till you play. So at least here for a lower entrance fee, I can at least try it.
Yeah. I
Yeah. What do you
suppose.
think? I don't think you're buying into my. Go ahead. What's wrong with it?
Why do you say there's something wrong with your logic? Well, let me tell you.
Because nothing can replace the real playing of the board game. I get that, but no, I'm asking. So I actually had the question here: should I play it
Yeah.
there first? So I ask you that: should I play it on Xbox to see, or
So while I love the Xbox
better?
and I don't have very much love for Catan, formerly known as Settlers of Catan, um, I would say save your money for a couple of reasons. Number one, I I'm pretty sure it's on Board Game Arena, so you can play it on there. The other thing is, and I've seen this with some of the other games, like I know, oh man, what's that one game? Carcassonne, and I think
Yeah,
Ticket to Ride I think that was on there as well. So a long time
both have
ago.
been on the Xbox.
Yeah,
I've played. I think I've played both on there. Ticket to Ride was a very poor
yeah,
translation. It
hmm
yeah. So that's a good point.
yeah. Well, the main thing was like, it's a multiplayer game, and I don't see a lot of people playing it on Xbox. If it's a new version, I doubt that they made a new version of it, without having been some interest in it. But the thing is, this game has been around for so long. It's on so many platforms. It's on mobile. You can play it on your tablet. You can play it online. A whole bunch of different places. I would think
You're
that like BGA, Board Game Arena,
yeah.
would be a better place because that's a place for gamers. Lots of gamers are on there. There's always going to be somebody to play.
Good point.
Whereas, you know, on the Xbox, initially there might be some interest. You might be able to find people to play with. Um, but I would think that that would die out. I could be
Sure.
wrong. I could be wrong.
No, you're and the point my thought was, oh, I could learn it, but you're right. I didn't even think of I know you and I have played a couple things on BGA, but it's not
Hmm.
that's not in my brain yet of go there. And yes,
Yeah.
I just looked at it. It is there and I did so I can play it and learn it right there. So
Yeah. So, yeah, you can learn it online. I would just say don't do it on the Xbox One. Granted, if you really like it and you know other people that have it, why not? Or if you got
yeah.
20 bucks burning a hole in your pocket and you don't want to send it to me,
No, I don't.
you don't want to like Venmo it to me, or
I do have a game that I can send to you.
I'd rather
So
have the 20 bucks.
I
Oh,
gotta I gotta I'll share that I shared this with you earlier, but let me share it with the community. So I talked I think maybe in the first show um about Evil Bunny. It was basically one of my first true Kickstarters from the start. And when it shipped, it it got lost. UPS even said it was lost. They lost tracking of it. So I reached out to that company, and they actually sent me another copy, 2-day error, and I got it. And I've had that game, and I've played it, and I've talked about it here. Well, my son comes in and hands me a box today that was delivered by UPS. I was like, I don't have anything on order, and I open it up, and it's Evil Bunny, and I'm like, this must be the one they lost 2 months ago.
yeah.
It showed up today. I was
Hmm.
like, you've got to be kidding me. So I thought that was kind
Nice.
of funny that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never expected something that was lost
Right.
to actually, I've never had that happen where something by UPS or the mail or FedEx, anyone, if it's been lost, it's lost.
Bye bye
And I've had stuff lost from
forever.
all three and never show up. And here it showed up today. It only took about 8 weeks to get here from from Florida to Washington.
Somebody walked it over.
They must
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
They do it on cattle drive or what?
Mule.
But anyways, all right. So I know we want to try to keep to an hour. We're just a little bit over, but
Yeah.
let's. I know you actually got some new things this week. You got new games on your shelf.
Oh,
What'd
yeah,
you
yeah.
pick up?
So I got the latest Uwe Rosenberg game, Atawa or Atiwa. I'm assuming it's Atawa, Atiwa. So have not even broken the shrink on that one yet.
Let me
So maybe
guess, it's
that's
on your
something new.
floor.
No, it's on my dining room table because there's no room on the floor. Now I'm
You've
now I'm
had to expand your
yeah.
your
So
waiting
there's
pile.
yeah, there's like narrow walkways all through the rooms with all the games on the floor. So I got that. I got Rolling Heights, which came in. Um, it's a Kickstarter game, and then actually, I told you this story the other day. I picked up the latest version, the second edition of Palaces of Carrara. So this is a game that had only one print run. It was a Z-Man Games game. I don't even remember how many years ago. And I was at Gen Con and I was at the Z-Man booth when it came out. They had a limit, like 100 copies of the game, which I didn't know then. But they had like 100 copies of the game that they flew in or whatever. And I had it in my hand and it was like, I think 39 bucks. And I'm like, I want this game, but I'm going to hold off and I'll just order it after the show because I wanted to get some other games. And what do you know? It sold
Uh,
out like a couple hours later, never to be seen again. It was out of print everywhere. People were clamoring for reprints for years. Is it going to be reprinted? Is it going to be reprinted? And the answer was no, no, it's not. Z-Man basically washed their hands of it. And then I found out a while ago, like about a year ago or whatever it was, that I think it was Game Brewer was reprinting it. And then that sparked my interest. And then I was at one of the local game stores, Gaming Goat, which there's a whole ton of them around the country now. But I was at Gaming Goat and they had one, and I'm like looking at it. I had it in my hand, and it was not $39.99. It was more.
Uh,
Like 6, 7 years later, and I had to pick it up. And so it did come home with me. The components are really nice. Game Brewer does some interesting stuff with their games, decent quality stuff. But yeah, looking forward to getting that one to the table. So those are I think those are the only three, or maybe there's another one around here somewhere. I just put these games like everywhere. It's a problem. There's some upstairs, some down here. This is like, oh, I'm gonna take a look at this one like when I have some time. So it's like I got like little stacks of games everywhere. But yeah, those are
yeah.
like the three big ones new in the last week. And I mentioned Bot Factory last time, I think. So that's
Yeah,
that's
you
old
did.
news. Old news.
Yeah,
How about
that's
you?
so 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Um, I did pick up. Well, I got the one a little wordy that my mother got.
Hmm.
I picked up. I ended up ordering a bunch of Marvel United games and expansions to those. I got a bunch of those now.
Million of
And
those.
on that Marvel United front, I mentioned last show how I got into the Kickstarter for the Marvel United multiverse.
Hmm.
That thing got to be over $500 for all in. I backed out. I had to back out. I'm like, this is insanity. Um, and they've added even more things since I bailed. So I'm done. I got enough of this game.
Well, like I think I told you this. Like you don't need to buy everything. Getting just the
The
core is okay.
FOMA.
Yeah,
FOMA.
yeah,
I was going with FOMA, Rob. It's still I keep looking. I was like, I got 48 hours. Okay, I could, maybe yet. No, no, no.
yeah,
I'm done. Cancel that Kickstarter. I don't want it.
yeah.
Stop emailing me.
Or like, yeah, once it comes out and it hits retail, just order it online from somewhere at like
Yeah.
20, 30% off.
I got enough though. I
Yeah,
got enough of those games. I don't need any more. I really don't. But it was one of those. It's like, ooh, we liked it. I ordered the mat. Okay, I got to buy some more game. And then it just like there's so much out there. It's like this is insanity. It's just like I can't spend that much money on a game. It's like that's crazy.
yeah.
I'd rather spend that $500 at
10
Gen
games.
Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And you will need some
um
money for Gen Con, by the way. I know you said you're
yeah.
not going to
So
buy games there. And that's
we're
where
going.
I just like raise my eyebrow when I hear that. And I'm like, amateur.
Yeah.
You're going to be eating
This
those
is
words.
it's my first time. I'm
Yeah.
going for the experience. I got to fly there, so I don't plan on. I'm well.
Whatever.
I do plan to get a. I would like to maybe get a couple of things just to get something, but they got to be small things
Well,
that I could put in a
yeah.
suitcase, But
So
I'm not going there though to buy games. I'm going there to
we
first of all,
never,
I'm going there to hang out with you and Jay
dude,
and Braun and Franco.
dude, you didn't go
Um,
to Barnes and Noble to buy games, did you?
no, I did not. But that's different. And
No, it's not.
I told my kids next Christmas, all I want's cash. That's it. Because I know what I'm doing the day after Christmas.
Just give me Barnes and Noble gift
I will
cards.
be there when they open.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, I'm that's another thing. I want to save money for that trip, but
Yeah.
I am excited to be going. Got my flight. My daughter's going to go with me. Looking forward to seeing you guys and all
Hmm.
of our other friends there and experiencing Gen Con for the first time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited, but
And
um,
the thing I was going to mention, um, just to kind of be aware of it, because this is what I would expect you to do, is some games release at Gen Con, and it's changed over the last number of years, right? It hasn't always been like it is today, I guess. Well, let me take it back, step back. So some games will release at Gen Con, and because the publishers, they hold them, they release them at Gen Con to get the buzz, and then oftentimes they don't hit retail until like November. So if there's a game that you really like and you want to play it now, especially if you demo it, that's the thing. You demo the game and you're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And it's like, oh, it's over there, but it's not in retail yet. You'll wind up picking up that game. But the games are all full retail usually. So,
Yeah.
there is that cost associated with it. And they usually have a lot of the other knickknacks and add-ons and stuff like that there as well. Um, there,
So
oh,
bring a new
what?
credit card, right? We're an empty one.
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, and just to prep you as well, before Gen Con, Board Game Geek does have a list of games that are going to be at the show. And it's rather extensive, but you can go through the list and you can actually mark down which games you're interested in. And then it'll say in there, it's like, oh, there's going to be a limited amount of games over there. Or, this one is going to
Oh,
be demo only. This one's going to be sold at the show. And then you can kind of gauge like which ones you want, or which ones interest you, which ones you want to demo, which ones you want to demo and maybe buy, which ones you're definitely buying. And in my craziness, I actually would make my list, and then I would have like, let's say, like a dozen games that I'm very interested in, and then I cross reference um, the publisher and where they are in the in the convention hall, because there's like aisles. So like, this publisher's going to be at 1612, and that's their area. So then I would actually have like, go from this publisher to that publisher to that publisher and get the games as fast as I can on Thursday. Yeah, that's crazy. And there's sometimes really long lines for it as well. And there's a stampede on Thursday morning in
yeah.
addition. And they're
All
yelling,
right.
"Don't
Well,
run,
I'll
don't
be
run."
there.
Yeah, but yeah, if there's a game that you're really interested in, or you wind up being interested in, because it's a long ways away. August, right?
Yep.
That's 7 months away or 6 months away. So, you know, I'm sure you're gonna hear about a lot of games that you're gonna
If
want.
Flamecraft is there, then I'm gonna grab that sucker.
Oh,
I
it's
will tell you
possible.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So there's one. There's one possibility.
but what I did add to my shelf this week
Yeah,
was I did also get Trails. It's like an expansion to Parks.
yeah.
And I picked up. I know this is going to sound funny, but my kids wanted to get me Jumanji in the wooden box. They
Okay.
actually have a version that's like in an actual wooden box,
Hmm.
and they ended up not doing it. I don't remember what the reason was. I thought maybe they think so. I actually saw it. I was actually at Walmart the other day, and I was not there for games, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk down here, and I'm like, I can't get anything. I'm like, I can't. I've got to just. I paid for Gen Con and all that. It's I can't be wasting money right now. And I saw it, and there was only one left, and I was like, I'm gonna get
Sold.
this. I'm gonna get it. And then of course I
Yeah.
saw Trails there, and I was like, I haven't seen this anywhere. Okay, I'll get to.
So the
Like,
willpower
oh
is
my gosh.
strong. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was very weak. I couldn't even get down one aisle. But anyways, so that's what's new to my shelf, and I am planning. So onto the shelf of shame. What I'm planning to play soon is Parks. I thought I was going to get it this weekend, and we ended up doing some other stuff. But Parks, I'm committing to play it before our next show. So that's what I'm going to try to get off my
Hmm.
shelf of shame. Not the expansions, but the
Yeah,
original game, and then I'll move on to expansions later.
yeah.
So
Then mine is going to be, this is one that I've been meaning to do for a while. My son really likes baseball, and I got baseball highlights, and baseball highlights the dice game. So I want to do the dice game with him. So um, we'll see how that goes.
cool.
Well,
We got two
thank
weeks.
you for being my secretary, by the way.
You're welcome. I'm gonna buy this way I can hold you to it on our next show.
Yeah.
This is what you said in episode
Hmm.
41. So all right. And then I know before we go, I know you didn't we talk about a little game, I think at the very end of our last episode, and then you messaged me like later that night and got on a Kickstarter
Yeah,
about something about that game. What was it
yeah.
you ended up backing?
Manhattan Project War Machine. Yeah, I'm a sucker for Manhattan Project. Anything Manhattan Project. Yeah, so Manhattan Project War Machine is, well, let me take a step back. So I talked about Manhattan Project, the original, and there's been a couple of versions after that, Energy Empire, and then there's another one. I don't remember the name. Done by different designers. Originally, it was a Minion Games game, but unfortunately, Minion Games is no more. And Grail Games out of Australia picked them up. So the cool thing was when they acquired Minion Games, when Grail Games acquired Minion, there was an unfulfilled Kickstarter, and Grail Games actually fulfilled the Kickstarter. They finished the game and they delivered it. I don't know if it was even a loss for them or something, but thankfully it was a little card game. It wasn't anything like huge. Actually, I remember if I remember right, it was expansion or something like that. But anyway, um, and now they released War Machine. Um, it's actually, I'll say only, air quote, only $35. It's the deluxe
Uh-huh.
first printing, but I don't even want to know how much it's going to be to ship because they're based out of Australia, so their
Ooh.
games usually aren't super cheap. Um, Actually, it looks like it might be $15 shipping,
Oh,
but
that's not
still,
bad at all.
yeah. But yeah, so it's a game. It's got dice in it, and the War Machine, designed by Jan, or it might be Jan Gonzalez, illustrated by Heiko. So looks interesting, and like I said, I'm a sucker for anything Manhattan Project. I just love that game so much, so I had to jump on it. I'm weak.
uh,
Actually, I'm looking at the
let's see.
campaign. You can play it on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator right now.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
So fulfillment begins the end of this year.
yeah.
So that's not bad, actually.
No,
The
no.
campaign launched in January of 2023, and they're going to fulfill it by the December to the same year.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and it's already
Yeah.
funded, and I believe it ends on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, the campaign ends.
Cool.
So looking forward to it. I like their games, Grail Games. They do some decent stuff.
Cool. All righty.
How
Well,
about
that's all
you?
that I had for us,
Oh,
Rob.
that's it?
That's it. Yeah. I'm trying to watch the clock, so
Yeah, how far are we? Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, we did a good amount of time.
yep. We try to keep it to an hour and we're going over every week, but
Yeah, that's okay.
it's just fun to talk about games.
Yeah. I mean, there's other podcasts that are like 3+, easy. Two,
Yeah.
three, yeah. So we're pretty good at an hour ish. All right. So yeah, let's close it out then. So that's it for episode 41. If you'd like to make any comments, you can send us an email to contact at thisboardgamelife.com, or go to our website, thisboardgamelife.com. You can leave us a message on there in the contact session, or you can do a comment on the episode. We got a guild on Board Game Geek. If you're ready for this, it's This Board Game Life is the guild, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of ways
What
you
was
can do
that
that.
again?
This Board Game Life. Are you trying to make me mess up? I don't know. I'll do it. easily. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you, hear your thoughts, and I think that's it. So I'm Rob. Thanks for listening, everybody. Catch you all in 2 weeks.
And I'm Mark. I'll see you at the table.